video games. Michael, it's 2021. We're supposed to be over all the craziness. It's time to just regularly talk about video games. Let's regular talk about video games. This intro isn't going to make any sense to anybody in like 3 months. So
that'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for C-Lab 2021 to be a thing.
That's right. You got your C-Lab 2021 avatar already set up.
Yeah.
I'm kind of envious. So welcome back, everybody, to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And Michael, before we get started, before we do anything else, I feel like I don't want to go into this. I want to kind of reiterate Rage Select's general stance about we're recording this on Thursday, the 7th of January, 2021. Yes. Yesterday, there was some shit. And
yeah,
I am anti that yesterday shit. Let's say that's about as far as I feel like. Here's the thing, everybody. I don't feel like this is the podcast you should be coming to for your hot takes on current events and politics. I mean, I'm definitely saying anti-yesterday. Yesterday, boo, thumbs down. Rather not yesterday. No yesterday. Just forget about it. But I mean, I don't know, without shifting the whole onus of Rage Select to a whole different type of show, I don't really know what else to say outside of just boo, that was shitty and it sucked and I don't like it. No.
That's really all we should say, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're not. There's only so many little things that happen that I can talk about without going into a crazy person rage.
It's weird. I sometimes wish that I had come up with a cool alias for myself when I started Rage Select. I was Professor Jeff when I was over on Spill, and I wish that when I start up Rage Select, I was just hey everybody, it's Dick Hot Rod coming at you with some video games, because I feel like I need to differentiate between my Dick Hot Rod persona and then my just. We're sitting. You guys don't know how many times Michael and I will just stop recording and then just sit in my living room and yell at each other about the state of different things for hours on end.
It's true, and it's not even politic related half the time.
Yeah, sometimes it's just pizza and shit. I mean,
it's did you see Wonder Woman? And then that's a conversation that lasts for a while.
I can't get anybody to argue with me about Wonder Woman because I didn't hate Wonder Woman, Michael. I watched it. I was I had zero expectations. I was drunk. I was yeah, man, fucking, this is a bad 80s movie like all the other bad 80s movies, but it's I like bad 80s movies, so I'm pretty cool. And then I go online and everybody's just fuck! And I'm what? Why? Fuck? I don't did you guys? I mean, again, I didn't really like the first Wonder Woman all that much, so maybe that's the problem, is that I had no expectations, and everybody else was that was the best superhero movie ever, and then they had the expectations, and then they got the silly thing with the Cheetah Woman, and the wishing man and the weird body swap thing.
That first trailer was so good that it tricked us into thinking it was going to be something else.
Mm-hmm. This is why I'm saying, Michael, you need to kill your emotions. You need to destroy everything that brings joy inside of you, and that way, when something does bring you joy, you can be oh, that's nice. And otherwise,
I do want to see a Wonder Woman 84 poster that looks like Superman 3, but she's carrying Steve Trevor.
Instead of Richard Pryor.
I want that to be a thing so bad.
Well, we actually have a pretty fair amount of news because we've been off for 2 weeks because of the timing. But before we get to the news, I have a couple things. I actually watched, and I watched a lot of shows. I played a lot of video games. I can't talk about every single thing that happened, but I did want to say that I watched Cobra Kai this week, and Cobra Kai is starting to get a little silly, Michael.
Starting to?
Well, the first season was very kind of low key, and there weren't a lot of characters, and the amount of the amount of fan service. I mean, okay, so Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence both live in the same fucking town, right? So that's not a big stretch. And then you got all these new kid characters, and it was kind of 50-50 split between the kid characters and the adult characters. But then in season 2, they brought in, this is a spoiler, but you go watch Cobra Kai, for God's sake. And it's not that big of a spoiler, but let me put it this way. I won't even spoil it. A character from the movie came in season 2 and played a bigger role, and it was kind of fan servicey, and they started to kind of branch out into making a lot of references like that referred to the movies in between their stuff, and it was a pretty decent balance, but I felt like it started leaning a little bit in that direction. This third season, I feel like there's just a little too much like, remember this one? Remember when this happened? I feel like half of the show is just a character describing events from the Karate Kid movie while footage from the Karate Kid movie plays on the screen like to the side of their head to remind you, remember in Karate Kid 2 what happened? Remember this character from Karate Kid 1? And it's just like, yeah, man, I'm watching Cobra Kai. I'm like, I don't need the recap. I grew up with Karate Kid. I went to karate because of the Karate Kid. You don't got to remind me.
I think part of it just comes down to the fact that a lot of these actors, everyone keeps asking them, are you going to do Cobra Kai? And so, like, that's literally what I think Elizabeth Shue said. She said she wasn't sure she was going to do it, and then she was filming The Boys, and the director's like, so you're going to do Cobra Kai, right? And she's like, what?
See, okay,
He's like, please, for love of God, do this for me.
You call me when Jaden shows up in like season 8 and they have nobody left to bring in because they've already brought in like just about everybody. Actually, that's not true. There's a tease at the end of this season for one of the characters, one of the more ridiculous characters in the Karate Kid franchise that might show up next season. But the other problem that I'm having, Michael, is like in the beginning, right? It's like, a bunch of kids fight in the parking lot, little scuffles over lunch, and then they have the tournament at the end. I think everybody knows at the end of the second season, there's like this full-on like brawl in cell block 99 or whatever, like where like the two teams of teens basically just beat the shit out of each other throughout an entire high school, and you're like, okay. And there's kind of something that happens in season 3 where it's like, okay, in season 1, they're just doing this shit, right? There's nobody around. In season 2, there's a bunch of students. There's a big fracas. You can't pin it. You suspended a few of the characters, but you can't, like, kick everybody out of school, even though you probably would have. Season 3, I'm like, there should be cops involved with these karate teens. Like, the things they are doing, somebody should be going to, like, juvie for this, and, like, there's property damage and probably like a lawsuit. Now, if season 4,
minimum, they would sue Johnny and fucking Daniel. So.
Yeah. I want season 4 of Cobra Kai to just be a protracted legal drama about what happened at the end of season 3 of Cobra Kai. Also, there's only so many times that you could watch like a teenager slam another teenager's head like into a wall, and you're like, okay, that kid's got to go to the fucking hospital, man. Like, you don't just shake that off, and then, I mean, I guess it's Karate Kid rules, so you could just shake it off.
Still be like, that kid is dead.
That kid died. So yeah, I watched that. It was good. If you got Netflix, it's great. It's my standard thing, Michael. Like, if you already have Netflix, like, go ahead and watch it. Watch season 1. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. Whatever. But it's not like worth getting Netflix for. However, I don't have time because we have to go into stuff, but like I also watched Ted Lasso, and I think that Ted Lasso might actually be worth buying, at least signing up for the trial of Apple TV to watch, because that show is charming and delightful, and it just makes your heart feel like a warm, buttery muffin, and you just can't help but like grin and just be like, oh, this is so fun. And it's like super funny too. So go watch Ted Lasso. You, Michael, I'm talking to you. You go watch Ted Lasso.
Okay, fine. I'll watch Ted Lasso.
You and
Randy and Brian and all them.
I'm telling you, man.
I'll watch fucking Ted Lasso.
It's one of those things where all your friends are telling you to watch. It's like when The Good Place was on and all your friends were telling you to watch The Good Place, and you're like, the Kristen Bell? No, I'm not going to watch that. Then you watch it, you're like, why didn't anybody tell me to watch this? So just add my mark to the mark of people that are all just like, go watch Ted Lasso. It's amazing. We'll talk about it some other time. What have you've had 2 weeks? We haven't talked in 2 weeks on this podcast. What's the one big thing that you got into in the last 2 weeks that you feel like you want to talk about before we jump into this news?
I got Ghost of Tsushima finally. And I think I brought it up on another thing that we did. But other than that, that game is addictive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it is everything I liked about the original Assassin's Creed franchise when it comes to how it feels. I love doing the parry so goddamn much.
There you go.
It's just perfect parrying all over the goddamn place. And God, yeah, I'm just so obsessed with it. And there's so much to do. I'm still in the middle of Act 2, but I'm like 40 hours into the game, like with what I've done, because I've been clearing the map.
Yep, you did what I did.
I keep like looking, and sometimes it's on accident. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, this lady said something, I must go murder, and then, and then I end up there, and then I end up at like 3 different places and murder everybody in that area, and it just sort of snowballs from there. And then the birds, you follow the bird, and the bird's like, here's a hot spring, take your dick out. It's like, okay, cool. It's so much goddamn.
I want that to be like the sticker that they put on the Game of the Year edition with all the like quotes from different outlets, and it's like, there's a hot spring, take your dick out, Michael from Rage Select.
It's what happens, but yeah, I think it's easily one of the most perfect games I've ever played.
It also probably, you were telling me that like the quick travel on the PS5 is just like bing bang boom, and then you're there.
It's almost as fast as it is in Spider-Man. Like it is almost instantaneous, and it's so good because of that. And also, Lord Shimura can go fuck himself. So far, at least, he's been kind of a dick. But I don't know. I'm sure I'll feel different as it progresses. But still,
we'll see.
He's very elitist.
You get back to me when you get to the end, and we'll speak again. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it was like that was in the Game Awards. Not to go too far into the past or down that road too far, but like in the Game Awards, I think Ghost of Tsushima won like the kind of the audience pick, right? That was like
they won the audience pick,
audience choice award or whatever.
Some people called foul because some people think they voted against just The Last of Us 2.
Oh.
But I still think it's such a really good game that I think it deserves it either way.
I mean, it's not like I'm trying to think of like what the bad games that I played last year is. It's not like, they voted against Last of Us 2, but then they voted for Transformers Battleground for Game of the Year. Like,
it's not like that.
Ghost of Tsushima is a really good game, y'all.
The story of Ghost of Tsushima is fascinating because it's this whole idea of what it means to be honorable, really, and what it means to, like, what the ends justify the means kind of thing. And it reminds me of what Far Cry 5 wants to say, but it actually knows how to say it. It helps that your character can talk. So
well, that's true.
Because the main issue with Far Cry 5, when they're just like, you're being not so cool kind of thing, you can't. The guy doesn't say anything. But when people say that to Sekai, he's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like, this is war, motherfucker. I will poison your ass.
Yeah. Well, speaking of poisoning people, no, that's not a good transition. All right, fuck it. So it's 2021, and we've had 2 weeks worth of news, and you wouldn't know it was 2021 because we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 for like 20 minutes. So this first story I thought was really, really interesting. This came out kind of over the Christmas break, and there is a New York-based law firm that has filed a class action lawsuit against CD Projekt Red over Cyberpunk 2077. Now, Michael, did you get into any of the specifics of this? Because I find it fascinating.
I did not. I didn't get a chance to.
Okay, so here's the thing. This lawsuit is being brought on behalf of like the shareholders of CD Projekt Red. And what they're saying is that they lost money because CD Projekt Red did not indicate the quality of the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game. They kept that secret, and then when the game came out, like they didn't let journalists review it, they didn't let anybody look at it. And then when it came out, it was so broken that they were basically like, we took a financial hit based on what you said, like the sell through and the hype and everything on this was going to be, because you did not accurately show what the last, or what, I guess it's last gen now. I'm not like being, this isn't like an insult or anything, but like what the last gen versions of the game, especially the base PS4 and Xbox One versions looked like. And that was essentially like securities fraud or like it's interesting. It's strange because I feel like a lot of times we see, we'll see dumb lawsuits, we'll see people online that get mad and they're on Twitter and they're just like hassling some developer. But I kind of think this is an interesting thing where the shareholders are like, you guys fucking lied and we didn't make the money that you said we were going to make. So now we're going to take you to court and you're going to pay us the money. Now, whether this goes anywhere is anybody's guess. But I find it really fascinating, the idea of the shareholders of a company holding the company accountable, not for any like good moral game person, like a good gamer reason, but because they're just like, God damn it, we were supposed to get all the money and we only got like half of the money. You fucks, you told me I was going to get all the money. I'm going to take you to court. You're going to pay me all the money because you said I was going to get all the money.
That is crazy as hell, because the last time a class action suit was brought on for something similar was the Fallout 76 thing. And when that happened, it was very much like, on behalf of the gamers, you fucking like false advertised everything, kind of thing. And that sort of stuff pops up every now and then. Like when they sued Gearbox for Aliens: Colonial Marines, there was another time.
Oh yeah,
where there was like a sort of suit about that. And usually, usually it's a gamers thing. It's like, oh, it's on behalf of the consumer. This is interesting because it's the actual people who are their shareholders. So this is an actual, like, honest-to-God lawsuit that could actually go somewhere because the courts can take it seriously, and they have receipts and stuff, and they're the shareholders, and they're like, hey, fucking what the hell?
They're going to take it seriously because, like, people with money are mad that the people with the other money didn't make the money that they were supposed to get the money, and it's not just about, like, hey, man, you can't put DRM in Call of Duty. You said you wouldn't. I'm taking you to court. They're like, no. This is like grown-up business lawsuits, not like fucking I sent a bunch of cupcakes to BioWare lawsuits or anything like that.
These are people in suits fighting other people in suits.
Yeah. Or remember that, oh, God, was it last year when that guy sued Twitch because he said he was a sex addict and he couldn't stop watching the hot girls on Twitch, and it caused him the chafing and burning because he was jerking it too much on Twitch. And it was like, that's bullshit. Like, this is like a real law firm. So yeah, and we also found out that CD Projekt Red put out a statement where they said the company will undertake vigorous action to defend itself against any such claims, and it also noted that the suit doesn't specify the quantity of damages sought, so that the lawsuit doesn't actually like have a number that they're looking for in it. So
they're just going to send Henry Cavill, just like The Witcher, to fight them. Like, take care of this for us, Henry. What the fuck's happening?
Henry Cavill and Keanu Reeves are like the heavies, the celebrity heavies of CD Projekt Red. Now they just show up. No, I was like, already been talking about our games. Well, so this also led to something else that was really, really fascinating because, Michael, you know that a lot of times we don't get very good like sales figure numbers off of game companies. They tend to keep that shit a little hushy.
It's a lot more like to their chest nowadays, especially with digital. It makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah. But CD Projekt Red actually put out a statement that they have sold 13 million copies of Cyberpunk 2077, and that is like after the refunds. Like, that's the 8 million pre-orders, 5 million after that, and then like whatever amount of refunds were basically deducted. So they're up to 13 million copies in spite of the refunds, which, is redonkulous. Like,
well, it's a good example of the fact that the outspoken gamers are a lot smaller when it comes down to the market itself. And so like all of Twitter could be exploding, but there's at least like out of every one person who's like mad about something involving the glitch, there's like 100 other people who don't give a fuck and just move on with their day.
Yeah, it's like when we were talking before about, I often wonder like how many people who bought Cyberpunk 2077 even knew that like Sony was offering refunds. Like, did they even know that it was possible to get a refund? Because they aren't reading fucking Polygon every day and finding this shit out. They're just a person, and they bought it, and they were like, oh, I guess this game sucks. I guess I'll wait till I have a PS5 and then see if it works there. And then they just fucking go back to playing Fortnite or Call of Duty or something.
Yeah, some of them, a lot of those people probably, A, didn't know there's a refund, and B, probably just traded the game in afterwards. They're like, I don't need this anymore. Like I said, most consumers don't actually pay attention to this sort of thing. It's the reason why the Xbox One, the actual news of it was so hard for them to get into other consumers' heads that, hey, we're not an only online console kind of thing, because nobody pays attention after the first 10 minutes, essentially, when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yep. It also goes, it's kind of a sad thing to consider, and it's not something that I generally like to consider. But, guys, this is another one of those things where 13 million copies of Cyberpunk 2077, I just did the math and fucking calculator, is $780 million. No matter what happens from here on out, this is a success. This is a financial success for this company.
Yeah, that's what makes it so weird that the shareholders are suing, because they've sold more than most other games have sold at all.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows, Michael, that when a game is really good, people buy 2 copies. You buy one for yourself and then a second one in case that first one, the disc gets scratched or your dog licks it, or like a little cousin puts his fingerprints on it. You can't get the fingerprints off, and you got to have another copy of Cyberpunk 2077 just in case. So, yeah, we're really going to ping pong back and forth here, because from talking about 13 million copies sold, let's go over to Steam, where apparently the player base of Cyberpunk 2077 has dipped around 80% since the launch of the game. When Cyberpunk 2077 launched, there was more concurrent players than I think they said they'd ever seen before. That's right, isn't it? Yeah,
it had beat the last the last record by a whole lot.
Yeah, and it went from what was it, a million concurrent users down to at this point it's barely 225,000.
Still more than what the Avengers is doing, probably.
Well, yeah, the Avengers has lost like 95% of their player base, but. Yeah, it's interesting because this article talking about it, they mentioned that it's not a shock to see a single player game dip like that, because people play it and they beat it, right? Yeah. But it is, but a lot of times, if a single player game is going to retain its numbers, it's an open world single player game, because people will play more and more and more of it. I don't know, man. I get the impression that even the PC players on this game are just like, I feel like most people that I know's attitude for Cyberpunk is like, I'll check back in 8 months and see if it's fixed.
That's probably what's happening for the most part. And there are plenty of people who they sat down for a weekend and plowed through the story.
Right.
They were just done.
Yeah. But I mean, at least if you're playing on the PC, I think that actually the news about this came out over the day after we recorded, or the couple days after we recorded last time. But did you see this bug on the PC where Cyberpunk 2077, if your save file went over 8 megabytes, it just corrupted and then you couldn't load your save game anymore?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and apparently it was triggered by your inventory, how many things did you have, how many things were there in the world, and it would balloon and balloon and balloon, and if you were crafting a lot, then it would just keep going up and up and up. Apparently it started to affect performance when it got around 6 megabytes, and then when it hit 8 megabytes, it just was like, your file can't be loaded, your game is corrupted, bye-bye.
Oh, God.
And this article doesn't actually have the quote, but somewhere there was this terrible quote from somebody, and I think it was CD Projekt Red. Let me see if I can find it. Save Cyberpunk. And it was like, why would anybody it was like, you're not supposed to play this game forever, Michael. You're supposed to beat the game, and then you're supposed to quit playing and then restart, and then like you're not supposed to just play the entire game forever. It was really
so dumb.
Yeah, it was a really weird quote. Yeah, I don't know if I could find it. I forgot to look it up before I got it. I swear to God, though, I was over the Christmas holidays, and I read it. I was just like, "What? Like, no, that's not true. That's stupid." Yeah,
Obviously, never heard of the people who just would get every possible cheese wheel
in Skyrim. Yeah,
and just leave it in their house.
But they fixed it. They actually had a hot patch that came out. This was the Christmas Eve 1.06. But the biggest thing was that it's fixed that PC save game file, which this game,
That's
man.
like the size of a PS2 memory card right there.
Yeah.
And it's just corrupting out of a fucking God. That's the weird. It's just 8 megabytes, and that corrupts. It's just. Mm-hmm. How does that make any sense? Like, how did so much of this get past anybody?
I mean, I like the thing is that obviously nobody knows for sure, but there's a lot. I mean, like there was an article there was a rumor that I didn't put in here where there was a developer that said that like there was all this content that was cut from the game. They were supposed to have like a whole underground that you were supposed to go into, and there's supposed to be different types of things that you could do. And the CD Projekt Red was like, no, that's not true. It's just what the entire game feels like is that it got shoved out the door, right? Like it got shoved out the door, and it was like still wet and in its underwear, and it didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was just like, where am I? And it was like, yeah, this isn't ready. This needs to go back in whatever my metaphor, wherever the naked person is, wherever they came from. They needed to go back in there for a little while, get back in the back to tank, let that fucking weird skull droid to fix up your face, It's just what it feels like. It feels like a half-done game. It felt like...
No, it 100% is a half-done game. Like, they knocked on the door, and they're like, you guys got a game yet? They're like, well, we're almost done. And then he just took his computer and walked off.
Just rips the laptop out of his hands. Like, that's fine. That's good. We're putting it out. We got fucking shareholders.
It's like, what?
Yeah. It totally feels half done. And you know what the weird thing is that once I stopped playing it, and like over the holiday break, I went back and I played a bunch of other games. And Michael, it's really nice to play a game that's complete, right? Like I went and played Gears Tactics, and that was like, oh, a completed game. I played the Pathless all the way through, and I was like, I mean, this isn't maybe the best game I've ever played, but it's a complete ass video game. It runs well. It loads well. The dialogue is all there. Like, you don't turn the camera and have people fucking flop. The cops don't appear out of the air and come down. And yeah, so.
The glitches for Cyberpunk are still amazing to watch, though. They're some of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I'm just really interested because I just... after the last podcast that we did, there were some folks that came into the comments, and like I don't want to come off like I don't want to sound like I don't mean. I understand that people mean well, because there were some people that were like, well, Jeff, if you do X and Y and Z, then like the game is more fun. And I thought about it for a long time, and I was just like, if I have to just play this game, I don't know. It's a big question about like, is the best version of Cyberpunk 2077 just like a first-person shooter? Like it has some like medium stealth elements and some light cyberware that's basically just magic that you can use to augment like your existing stuff, and like it's got a semi-decent like melee combat component to it. Because after we did that last podcast, I started thinking about it, and I was like, in my mind, I just started comparing it to what Deus Ex Mankind Divided was like. And like all the things you can do in Mankind Divided, where you could like turn invisible and punch through a wall, and like, there's that weird mini game with the speech thing where you can like influence people, and you could put that big nano shell over your skin, and there's all kinds of different guns and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it just didn't even feel like as fully featured as that game, which to me was like the last really, really good Cyberpunk game. And so if they smooth everything out, is it just going to be what it is now, where it's like, well, you can shoot people, or you can use your hacking to make their head blow up, but like
shoot them.
And then shoot them. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. Like for example, you know, in a Ubisoft game, when you go and you use your drone or your bird or whatever, you have to like manually mark every enemy that's on the map, and then you can kind of see them through walls and keep track of them, and how it's really cumbersome and irritating that you have to do that every time, because once you get seen, it's all fucking out the window anyway. Well, like in Deus Ex, you had an optics mod that would let you just see through walls, and you could just see enemies. You could just look through a door and basically see if there was somebody on the other side of the door. And I don't know, that just feels better than what I was doing. Anyway, we can't go down this road. Anyway,
Didn't take very long either.
No, it'll be interesting to see. From there, you know, you might need a really good video card to play Cyberpunk 2077 on the PC if that's what you're going to end up doing. But we talked about this before. It's going to cost more. It might cost more. It very well might cost more. So for anybody who doesn't remember, because they don't remember that far back, our esteemed commander-in-chief, desire to make jokes is high.
Leave that one where it lays.
Yep. Okay, beefing with China, right? We have to deal with China, right? So tariffs, we're going to have a trade war with China, okay? We're going to have a trade war with China. We're going to put down tariffs. Then we had the news story that was like, okay, well, if these tariffs go into effect, you realize that most of the consumer electronics in the United States of America are going to like increase their prices by like 20% right before the holidays, because a lot of those components are going to come from China. If tariffs make those components cost more, then the manufacturers, they're not just going to eat it. You know, Microsoft isn't just going to eat that. They're going to jack up the prices of Xboxes for the season. Well, so then there was a moratorium put on that, like a temporary kind of suspension of that tariff, and that ran out on December 31st. So that tariff is now essentially in effect, and I guess it's maybe a good thing that nobody can find a fucking video card, because if they could, they would be more expensive. Looking at a Polygon video here, or Polygon article here, this is an Asus card talking about on Asus's storefront and through Newegg, the ROG Strix LC Radeon RX 6800 XT is $1,079, 1080. It's $1,080, and it launched at $900. So you're looking at, you know, $180 increase. The non-XT variant of the same product, which launched at $580, is now $840. Which is
goddamn,
yeah,
a huge jump.
Yeah, so this may be a reason just to keep an eye on the boring economic side of politics when we change over to the new guy. Then, like, I don't know, maybe we're not in a trade war, and you don't have to worry about a video card being as expensive.
PS5s for everyone or whatever.
That's what Joe Biden ran on, right? Was PS5s for everyone?
Yeah, he was like, Xbox Series X can go fuck itself.
Right. I think Joe Biden would be way into like Google Stadia. Like, that's how out of touch he is. He's like running real hard on Google Stadia.
I was playing the Stadia thing the other day, and it's just magical. It's like, what the hell's going on with that?
Oh, you need to get presidential candidates to declare what console they're into, because, you know, Google Stadia, and then I get the feel. Why do I feel like Trump would be running on like the Ouya or something like that, or I don't know. Maybe
it would just be his phone. Like, I'm playing the Candy Crushes.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of hardware, we had an interesting story this week that was just kind of the answer to a weird question. This is off Kotaku, and it basically is like, so, Michael, I don't know if you've noticed this. I definitely noticed this, but when you buy a console, when you buy a PlayStation, I know you know this. When you bought your PlayStation 5, you opened up your PlayStation 5, you had your console and your controller, and you plugged the controller into the console, charged it up, you unplugged it, wirelessly played your video games, right? Beep, 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 boom, 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 boom. Good, all right. You have your Switch, right? You got your Joy-Cons, you take them off, they're charged up, bah, 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 bah. You're doing your thing. When I opened up the box of my Xbox Series X, I had an Xbox Series X, an Xbox Series X controller, and a package with 2 AA batteries in it to go inside of my Xbox Series X controller.
Yeah, I did notice that you still had batteries for some reason.
Apparently that's because Microsoft has this like specific partnership with Duracell batteries to like quote like give gamers the flexibility to do whatever they want with their controller, which is strange because apparently the Xbox Elite controller, that super the like $180 one, that's got the same as everything else where it's just an integrated battery and you don't get to fucking put batteries in it, because I just can't imagine a world in 2020 where you bought your new Xbox Series X for Christmas and then like you run out of AA batteries for your game controller, and it's like, what the fuck is that? That's
I love
weird.
how one of the articles within this article is there are not enough AA batteries to power my Xbox One controller.
Right. Like who the fuck has AA batteries? I thought we were past that. I thought we moved past that as a species.
Well, I had to buy AA batteries again because I didn't have a single one in my apartment, and I connected my 360 to my TV.
You had to put some batteries in it.
I had nothing else. I had no wires whatsoever to connect to the Xbox, and I had no batteries in this entire apartment. And it was like that for like 2 weeks before I finally remembered to get batteries.
My problem right now is that my Xbox and my PlayStation and my phone all use a USB-C plug, but my Kindle doesn't. So I have an old USB-B cable like plugged into my PS5 to charge my Kindle while I'm like watching fucking Ted Lasso, so that when I go outside to smoke, I can take it with me and read books. But yeah, if you're ever wondering why there's fucking AA batteries in your Xbox controller, it's because of the money. It's because of the money, obviously.
It was like some sort of weird rebel thing to be like, we're different from them. You can use your own batteries. It's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Michael, I bought. I don't know if anybody who listens to this show actually watches any of our videos. I'm sure there are a few of you, but like the era of Jeff's Xbox controller randomly disconnecting is over. I bought a new rechargeable battery. I put it in there. I've been using it. It never disconnects. It's fine. It was just a shitty battery that was almost dead. But yeah.
Yeah, guys, it was nuts.
I'm sure they know.
Wired. Yeah, wired. It still did it.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Well, I bought a new controller, and then I got the Xbox Series X, and then it didn't have a rechargeable battery, so I took the rechargeable battery that had moved from like my previous Xbox One controller to the new Xbox One controller into the Xbox Series X controller. Same thing happened. It doesn't take a troubleshooting genius to figure out the one thing that those have in common.
Maybe if I buy another controller.
I should buy that $180 controller. In other Xbox news, we got like, this is kind of a normal thing, but I like this because the Xbox was sending out basically post-launch surveys to people, kind of asking them about their new systems and talking about how, do you like it? How do you feel about it? And there's one part where they say in the like, does your Xbox Series X/S like feel like a next gen console? And then one of the questions is, are you aware of features on PlayStation controllers, and like, do you want those features in the Xbox controller? Which, I mean, it seems like so weird and petty, but man, that fucking DualSense, like that shit feels like a different generation.
Well, it's a different beast entirely from the PS4 controller.
Yeah,
like it's one of those. There's always the argument of like, well, if it's just the same controller, it's like, but it's not even close to the same controller. Like the fact that you have to update your controller the same way you do your console, in and of itself, is kind of amazing.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that a lot of people, if you got one of those surveys, answer yes, because I really want to buy a 6th Xbox controller for some reason. But I would buy another one, Michael. I would buy another one if they had one that vibrated like the PS5. But then I guess they have to start getting the game manufacturers to make sure that the games have the vibrations and et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, in other Xbox news, we got the. I mean, this is nothing, but I am just promoting Microsoft at this point. So everybody, take your shot because it's time to say how good Game Pass is. Actually, it's not a big thing, but January 7th, the day we're recording, Injustice 2 is on Game Pass, and let me just tell you, if you're a fan at all of fighting games or DC, Injustice 2 is fucking great. It's so
fantastic.
good. Yeah, I actually loaded it up at some point over the weekend for some reason. I think I loaded it up on my Xbox. Yeah, and it's just super easy to get in those towers and just be like, I'm fucking Superman, not Spider-Man. I'm Superman. I'm beating up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, it's crazy.
It's still really solid. There's all of the DLCs. I don't know if this version has it or not. I don't know if it would or not, but it's still a good game even without all that stuff in it.
Yeah,
it's got a really good single player. That's just, the whole thing is just amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's got a fun story. Matt and I played all the way through. We did a full sequential on Injustice 2. Took like 4 episodes.
Plus, I heard that the Game Pass took down MKX, and it's like, who cares? Like, it's an old Mortal Kombat game anyways. Just play Injustice 2. You'll like it better.
Yeah. They also put up eFootball PES 2021, The Little Acre, some other stuff for Neoverse, Torchlight 3, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Y2K, a postmodern RPG, will all be out on January 14th. And yeah, I think Skyrim is already on there. They put that on there in like December 15th.
Oh, really?
So yeah, there's just, look, man, if you have a gaming PC or an Xbox, there's no reason not to have Game Pass. It's too fucking cheap to not get. Like,
it's super cheap. It's almost the same amount as any other streaming service right now.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just like, hey, Jeff buys everything, but like, man, if I was still if I wasn't able to write all my games off my taxes, Game Pass would just be a lifesaver. Game Pass is a lifesaver to me, as I don't have to buy every single game that comes out.
100%.
So.
If I was still like working retail, Game Pass would be what I would be using all day, every day.
Yeah. We also got another Game Pass update. So do you remember at the Xbox XO19 where they basically said that like they were bringing 10 Final Fantasy games to Game Pass?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've only done half of that. So they made a statement as the day that we're recording that they are definitely going to be bringing the rest of them to Game Pass. Right now, Final Fantasy 7, 8 remastered, 9, 15, and then the stupid multiplayer for 15 are all on Game Pass. And what's left to go is 10, 10-2, 12, 13, 13-2, and 13-3, which I know a lot of people are like 13, but I'm like, yay, 13. I fucking love that game.
I bet you they're waiting for the 7 remake to come out on their Xbox first.
Maybe.
Just do them all in that one day. They're like, all the Final Fantasy.
I'm still, Michael, do you remember? I keep forgetting, and I don't know, like, weren't they supposed to put Final Fantasy 13 out on the Xbox One and the PS4? Wasn't that a thing that they announced where you could like play those games on the current gen? Because like right now, the only way to play Final Fantasy 13 on the last gen was in Xbox One backwards compatibility with the 360 version. You had to buy it.
I actually don't remember, to be honest. That's not something I remember in general. I'm sure they did. It's just all of last year was a blur if they did it last year.
I think it was in 2019. Like, because I remember that they had like a giant treasure chest collector's edition that was like several $100s. That was supposed to have like every single Final Fantasy game in it. Like it was going to have every Final Fantasy game. You're going to be able to run them all on your system, and et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like that just kind of just went away. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't found anything so far.
I'm doing what you've done, what you're doing right now, where I've Google searched for it a few times, and I feel like the internet just forgot. And I swear to God, I remember that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, y'all. If y'all know, let me know. You tell me. You guys love to tell me when I'm wrong. I'm asking you. I'm saying, like, Jeff, that was a hashish fever dream. You're just imagining things. You stupid man. So from there, this is more of a transitional article than anything, but there was this Kotaku article where there was a report from Bloomberg that apparently when Microsoft was just getting started with the Xbox, they went to Nintendo Now, Microsoft and Nintendo, like I used to work at Microsoft, and the Nintendo of America, like in Seattle, and the Nintendo of America campus was like across the street from one of the satellites from Microsoft. So apparently at one point, Steve Ballmer and a bunch of executives from Microsoft went to Nintendo and they were like, hey, gentlemen, you guys are super good at making video games, but like your hardware sucks compared to the PlayStation. We've got this Xbox coming out. Our hardware is going to kick a lot of ass. Why don't you, we will pony up the dough to buy your organization. Why don't you come make games for us? Like they wanted to buy Nintendo and make Nintendo part of Microsoft. And apparently from this article, the Nintendo executives just laughed them out of the room. Like literally, what is the quote here? Like imagine an hour of somebody just laughing at you. That was kind of how the meeting went.
And as they should have, to be honest. It's just like, guys, fuck no. Like, this is our stuff. Like, go away.
I don't know. You know, around that time, Microsoft.
What do you think we are, Sega? Fuck you.
Microsoft had like more money than God, right? They were trying to muscle their way into the video game industry. But
well,
like,
it's kind of how they got all those things for the original X. Like to me, the original Xbox was almost the second Dreamcast because like they got most of the Sega Dreamcast lineup to be on that, like Crazy Taxi and stuff.
Oh, that's why Shenmue is on there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like they were throwing it at anybody who was willing to let go, and for the most part, most people weren't willing to let go at that. Like Sony had plenty of grip on a lot of different games that just like it was always surprising when a game would end up on the Xbox after a while because it was so new. Like, I think there's only one Dragon Ball game on the entirety of the original Xbox kind of thing. Stuff like that.
I like the idea that that's Michael's base measurement for how successful a game console is. It's like, how many Dragon Ball games?
Well, the GameCube had more Dragon Ball games than they did kind of thing. Like, it showed how much Japan, like, wasn't willing to make games for it kind of thing. And at that point, Japan was, like, around the PS2 Xbox era, Japan made most of the games, to be honest. Like, if you look at a lot of those games, a lot of them were Japanese-made games. And then, the American stuff started to rise, towards the end of it. And then they became the more dominant one fairly recently. And it's stayed pretty equal since then. Yeah. But all that was because of Microsoft. Microsoft really worked really, really hard to get a foothold, and it paid off. And then for a while at least, and then and
then it's all about TV.
Yeah, then it's all about televisions and stuff, and then it dipped, and then they spent a bunch of money again, and now it's now it might pay off again.
Did they ever make that live action Halo TV series that they said they were going to make? Remember when the Xbox One was announced and they were like Night Crash or Nightfall or Night Germ?
They did, I think, and it was okay. I think it was only on watching it through the Xbox or something like that.
Oh God!
They made something because it had the guy who played Luke Cage, which is why he's in Halo 5, or at least his model's in Halo 5 because he couldn't do the voice for Halo 5. But they did do some live action stuff, and I didn't watch any of it. Most people didn't watch it, to be honest.
Okay. Well, people might not have watched that, but I bet people are going to go. I was so mad. The day after we recorded, there was another Nintendo Direct, and it was a live-action Nintendo Direct of the Super Mario or Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios, and I want to go.
I want to go too.
I want to go real bad,
but only if Miyamoto shows me around.
I like when the guys in the Mario and Luigi costumes show up and he says like, okay, you guys go, Dad's got to do more stuff. Like he's just talking to them like they're his children. So yeah, there was a whole Nintendo Direct about this the Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios Japan. This is we've found out some stuff about this before. We've seen the kind of like drone shots. It's really impressive to see inside. I think the coolest thing is the little wristband that you get where you can like punch the blocks, and then it like there's an app on your phone. It makes the coin noise, and then the coins go in. And apparently there's like a boss fight with Koopa Jr. if you get enough coins together.
Oh wow!
There's like all these like animatronic Koopas doing stuff. There's little mini games.
I did love that he said that like the watch works like an amiibo too, so when you get home you can still fuck around with it even outside of that place.
I like there's a part where he's in the underground and there's like a forced perspective where it looks like he got small because the panels on the walls suddenly get larger and larger, and it makes him look like he like he had a mushroom and got hit, and now he's like little Miyamoto.
It's just so selling of something that you want to go to so bad.
Yeah.
But it's in like a completely different fucking country.
And there's like this little like Nintendo, this like little Mario figure that walks like Mario that you can only get there. Like, it's so cool. There's so much cool. I mean, it's like, you know what? What it reminds me of is that like Disney is super good at their craft, right? They're like super good at this kind of stuff. But you know what? Like Nintendo ain't that bad either.
Yeah, because it comes down to the fact that it's like it's all princesses and like old cartoons that most people don't really care as much about as they used to, kind of thing. Like it's Disney. Like you know Disney kind of thing. With it's like this is the Super Mario world, like but as in like in the actual Super Mario world that isn't fucking like it's not like they took the movie Mario World and made a world of that. Like this thing is this magical fucking place, and it looks amazing like the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. I also like all the weird fact that like all their food is like mushroom shaped. Like they've got this kind of like crazy mushroom shaped burgers and
Japan
stuff.
goes out of its way to make everything that they do theme related super part of their theme.
Yeah.
Like I told you about this, like it's like a Capcom bar or something that my friend went to. He said that like there was a special drink that had 2 giant ice cubes that were shaped like ebony and ivory from Devil May Cry. Like and they were colored to look like a black one and a white one, and it's just like what the fuck? Because they go all in when it comes to theme stuff, and I love them for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I don't know. I really hope that we get a vaccine because I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Mario. I want to go to the Mario place.
I want to go to Super Mario World. I want to be there.
I mean, they said they're going to be constructing them in other because this is attached to Universal Studios. So they actually said specifically that they're going to be they're going to be building these things in other Universal Studios. So it's possible, that the ones in. But see, the thing is, Michael, like even if they build them in another Universal Studios, what is there? One in Florida, one in California. Like there's Universal Studios Houston that you and I could just bop up to on the weekend. I mean. Kind of want there to be Universal Studios.
If that happens, then yeah, we should do that. But like what's the novel? The other thing is that makes it so exciting is just the whole novelty of where it is. I think is the other part of it that makes it kind of cool. Like there's so much stuff in that area that isn't just the Mario thing that I would be interested in. And I would just be God, like just looking at it makes me want to be there right now. It's just so fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's so much love put into it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I can make it over there at some point over the next like year because I want to see this. I want to see that big Gundam that walks around or that kind of walks a little bit.
Yeah, they opened it not that long ago and they had an image of like the line. It was fucking massive to go see it. So long.
Okay. Well, let's see. What else do we got here? We got some other Nintendo news, I believe, but it's not good news. It's bad. No, wait. First, we have good news. There is a whole website that you can go to that is the super-nintendo-world.usj.co.jp, where you can basically go on like a virtual tour of all the different places. And it's like the way that when I found this article, they were like, go on a virtual tour. It's really just like go to a bunch of web pages that describe in exquisite detail like what's happening, but it still just shows you all the stuff that's happening. That Koopa. See, the only thing I'm worried about, Michael, is it appears that there's like 2 rides. There's this AR Koopa challenge. There's like the Yoshi merry-go-round, and then there's like a snack bar, and like that's about it. And then the rest is kind of like a playground. then there's like the um, there's like the boss fight with Bowser Jr. if you get enough coins or whatever. And I don't know what that is, but I don't know. Still want to check it out. Still want to go.
It still looks fucking magical as hell.
I want to go.
Like I'm sure one of the good things about the fact there's probably as little to do is that you won't have to worry as much about repeat people, so it's not like super full.
Yeah,
probably, and they probably want other people to visit the other parts of Universal, kind of thing. So.
Yep, I agree. Oh, and then obviously like people dressed up like Mario. Actually, I was really impressed. I didn't talk about it before about how Mario's mouth moved. Like the person wearing the Mario costume, it had like a mouth that moved, and then it said Mario stuff instead of just being like a guy in a goofy costume that kind of just walks up and is like patting you on the head. Yeah,
pantomiming.
Yeah. That's good Nintendo news. Bad Nintendo news is that like suddenly and without any amount of warning, Nintendo pulled 250 DSiWare games off the 3DS store, which only appears to have happened in the United States. So it's not entirely certain whether this is like part of a thing that's going to happen in the other regions or whether this is a mistake, because apparently the games are still available in Europe and Japan, but that's not to say, because nobody has any idea what the fuck is even going on here. Like,
it's weird.
Yeah. So, and just to put that in perspective, there were 448 total DSiWare titles. So this is like more than half that have basically just been taken down. I'm not entirely like gonna, I'm not going to launch a class action lawsuit against Nintendo over this because it's just fucking DSiWare games. But it does bring up an interesting question with the way that Nintendo handled DSiWare, like how much archival was there? Because if I remember correctly, Michael, you can just re-download your DSiWare, right? You had to it was
very difficult to re-download certain things. Like you had to do this whole process with their support team.
Yeah.
To tell them that, hey, you need to, like, this is me. I'm the one who bought all this stuff. Like, it's a pain in the ass. Like, that was one of the reasons they finally let you have your own account on your system, because it was much easier to finally keep track of what you bought.
Yeah.
Because I remember, if you lost your DS and you had DSiWare stuff on it, you were just shit out of luck because there was nothing that tied you to that system.
Or you had to send it to Nintendo to get it fixed as opposed to just buy another one. Yeah.
It was literally impossible. I remember they had some exceptions to it, but most of them involved it just being completely unrepairable, stuff like that. But you still had to prove that you owned those things in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult for a while, because that was one of the things why I held on to some of my DS stuff for dear life at one point, and I was able to transfer everything up to a certain point because Nintendo was really, really bad at downloading things for some reason for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It actually reminds me of the way that iTunes in the early days wouldn't let you re-download. Like, I have people that would bring a laptop in for repair when I worked in a laptop repair store, where they needed me to get their iTunes library because they literally just couldn't re-download it. And for me, I was always like, why won't Apple just let you re-download your iTunes library? You paid for it. Why do they let you, are you telling me that this shit is tied to these weird files that are all DRM anyway that are on your computer? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Apple. Well, let's see. Last but not least, before we take a quick break, because we're probably going to have to do a little bit more of this. I'm still my news eyes are too big for my news stomach. At first, I feel like people would think, "Hey, this is a great story. The Sinking City is back in digital storefronts." So, for anybody who doesn't remember, the Sinking City was delisted off of a bunch of storefronts back in August because the developer Frogwares and the publisher Nacon got into a dispute. Specifically, Frogwares said that Nacon owed them like a million euros in royalties. That they also were marketing the game as if Nacon had made the game and not Frogwares, and there was just kind of some weird shit going on there. And so they ended up basically saying they were going to split with Nacon as the publisher, and then that meant that like Nacon did all of the work publishing the game on the stores, so they had to take all that down. It was still available, I believe, on like the Switch and like Origin or some GOG or something like that, but like it wasn't on the PlayStation Store, Steam, or Xbox One. It is now available again on the Xbox One and should be returning to Steam and PlayStation in the near future. This is mostly happening because the two went to French court, and in French court, so it's interesting because normally when you hear news like this, Michael, it's like, oh, great, it's a victory for the little guy. It's like, actually what happened here was that French court said that Frogwares can't just completely invalidate their contract with Nacon, so they have to continue to let Nacon publish the game, sell it, and take their percentage while this contract dispute is worked out in court, basically.
That's so weird, but
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So basically, Frogwares has said they're going to keep trying to fight it. Nacon has kind of taken the position that it's like, well, this is good for gamers because they can get access to the game again. And in the meantime, everybody can go play a really, really weird Cthulhu game with a frog man and a monkey man. And it's really weird. And I don't know. It seemed pretty cool. But
Yeah. No. Yeah.
see what
Good for
happens.
them? Question mark.
Yeah. Yep. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. Yeah. So stick around and we'll be right back. We're going to have some more news. And then I think we're going to try to get to some questions as long as the entire internet doesn't burn down and fall over. Stick around. And Michael, are you ready? Are you ready for some sexy news? Now that we've had our break, all the children are gone. It's time for the sexy part of the news cycle. It's not really that sexy. It's actually decidedly unsexy. But you know. That's just the way that things go. So apparently, Koei Tecmo is filing some charges over. This headline is very misleading. Over Dead or Alive nakedness. And apparently what's happened, I don't really know what's happening here, but apparently there's this DVD in like Japan or something, and it's like somebody put a nude mod on Dead or Alive Extreme Venus Vacation and then like recorded the video with the nude mod on, and then like made a DVD and sold that DVD as like porn. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess.
What?
Yeah, apparently.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why? Why would people buy that? What?
Yeah, it's not necessarily. I understand why people would do it. I don't understand why people would pay money for it.
The money thing is more what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
The nude mod thing doesn't surprise me in any shape, way, or form.
Yeah.
It's the idea that somebody would then upload it to a DVD and then sell it online when those people could just mod it themselves.
Who's buying DVDs? Like, is this what porn is like in overseas? Is it like you still have to buy a DVD? I mean, I just like, okay, sure.
That's so weird.
I guess. I wish them well. In their weird. Make another Ninja Gaiden game. Come on, just do that.
And put a nude mod in it.
Then put a nude mod in it. Yeah, that's right. I want to see a lot of swinging wangs in my Ninja Gaiden, my next Ninja Gaiden game. In other sexy sex news, I talked about this once a long time ago, but there's like a remaster of that Gal Gun game where all the women want to have sex with you. You got to shoot them with the love gun until they have an orgasm and fall over. A man and I played it a long time ago. They were making a like remastered version of it called Galgun Returns. It's supposed to be out on January 28th this year. And apparently I had misspoke in a previous podcast where I was like, and it's coming to the everywhere. Well, apparently it's not coming to PlayStation because we know PlayStation has gotten all super weird about they don't want any anime titties on the PlayStation Network, and I don't care. Like, there's a lot of places on the internet to find anime titties. I don't need to
just buy DVDs of it.
Right. You just buy online DVDs. So it wasn't coming to the PlayStation. It was going to be coming to the Xbox, the Steam, and the Nintendo Switch. Apparently, it is no longer coming to the Xbox. So Inti Creates put out a statement where they basically said, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. As a remaster of the original Galgun, we wanted to strive to ensure that we stayed true to the spirit of the first entry in the Galgun series. And while development of the Xbox version was complete and the Master Rama to review, it became apparent after productive discussion with Microsoft that we would be unable to ensure consistency of experience across all platforms. As a result, we've decided to refocus attention on Nintendo Switch and PC for the upcoming release of Galgun Returns. We understand the disappointment from everyone who's looking forward to play it on the Xbox, blah, 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 blah. So we now live in the bizarro world, Michael, and it's been this way for most of 2020 where, like, if you want to see them anime titties, like, you could do it on the PC and you could do it on, like, the Switch.
Nintendo doesn't give a fuck about their filters anymore, and I love them for that. In fact, well, you remember that trailer for that jacking off game? Like, they don't care what's on their system anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what it had, like in the Wii era. They were all just like family friendly, and now it's like, I think this week the Hong Kong Massacre came out on the Switch, and like there was that what was it? It was one of the like Senran Kagura dating game where they had the like the weird Joy-Con integration, and it was like, this is so fucking strange. So yeah,
do what you want, guys. Just make us money.
Yeah.
As long as it's not AO, good luck. Is really what they say.
I don't really get super up in arms about this stuff because, you know, if you're looking to play porno video games, you should probably be doing it on the PC anyway. There's like 1 billion porno games on the PC, and I don't know. Part of this is just...
Well, the other part is that we're now like way older, and they're still like high school girls for the most part whenever they make these things.
That is very true. That is incredibly true. Also, there's a lot of pornography on the internet. You can find it in a lot of places. So, I don't know. Let's see. From there, speaking of hot stuff, speaking of super hot, super sexy stuff, we got a trailer for the Doom costumes that are coming to the Fall Guys. We knew that this was happening, where we had the Doom Slayer and then like some demon costumes, and they have this trailer that's kind of like a Doomish version of Fall Guys with the Doom Slayer. Did you watch this trailer, Michael?
I did. And it's the Doom, Sonic, and Godzilla crossover we all deserve, is what Fall Guys has turned into.
Yeah, I think it's funny because there's something about seeing the Fall Guys and then hearing the music from Doom.
Yeah.
Where it's like, dun, 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 and then the Fall Guys just tripping and falling down and like knocking each other over and stuff, and it's hilarious.
Good for them, though. Like they've become popular enough that they're able to get all these costumes. Mm-hmm. And it's surprising, to be honest.
I actually was interested to know how much Fall Guys was still getting played, right?
Yeah, there's still people there, but apparently they are. There's still quite a few people playing it, which is interesting because I felt like it didn't last as long as I thought it would, but it's still popular enough to keep getting costumes and stuff. So
yeah.
Good for them.
They probably have a core player base that still plays the hell out of it. I don't know. Do you think that like the people that are playing Fall Guys now, it's like Call of Duty where they're so good that if you haven't been continually playing Fall Guys from the beginning, now you have just no chance whatsoever because
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're all so good at Fall Guys.
Like fucking 360, no push a guy off the thing kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like
no word on whether that big Doom level is going to be part of this, but January 12th. I
hope so.
Yeah, me too. January 12th, we're getting the Fall Guys level or the Doom costumes. God, Jeff, brain. That's going to help. That's that's how I sort out my brain when I have a problem, is I say the word brain over and over again.
Exactly.
We also got, I don't know, this was kind of a weird story, and I liked it because Call of Duty Warzone is getting some new guns, and like one of them, they're so fun. Like one of them is just like an AK-47 with an ICBM on the top of it, and like there's like a weird little thing where if you press a button, it's like the ICBM is getting ready to take off, and then you have to like grab the gun. And one of them is modeled after like an 80s Walkman tape deck, and when you push the little thing, the guy like takes the tape out and puts it back in, and it plays like a little bit of heavy metal. It's pretty fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that seems pretty cool. There's also another one that just kind of looks like a toy gun. So let's see. From there, let's talk a little bit about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So over the holidays, it appears that there were some new abilities that were available in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like each one of the trees got like 2 new abilities kind of plugged into the end of it, and they're really basic. Like one of them is like if you're it's in the stealth tree, and like if you knock a guy out, you automatically pick him up, and then like one of them is like get more arrows. But what's really interesting about these is apparently they've been like they've somehow made their way to people's games, but they're not supposed to be there. And apparently, like, if you disconnect from the internet, you can see them and put points into them and use them. But if you go online and the game does like a check, it'll be like, you're not supposed to have that. And then like takes those abilities out of the ability tree.
That's so weird.
Yeah. It's like, Ubisoft, get your shit together, Ubisoft. Like, I don't. And then there was.
It's not like an insane thing.
It's not.
But their faces are just gone or something.
But apparently they asked Ubisoft about it, and they were like, yeah, those skills aren't ready yet, and like if you see them, just don't put points into them because they're no good or whatever. I don't know. It's a little strange.
I'm just imagining that fucking robot from Venture Brothers. Ignore me. like what's there?
Let's see. From there, we got another weird glitch story. I kind of like this one. Apparently, this has nothing to do with anything. This is about speed running. So apparently, Dragon Quest III speedrunners. Okay, Michael. Here's how it goes. So it used to be that the only way that the speed run for Dragon Quest III was like an hour. Like that was the fastest speed run that people were able to do. But then they found out that like if you hold down a button and reset your Famicom, that you can get this glitch that like makes your entire party max level. And so suddenly the speed run went from like an hour to like 25 minutes. But then a bunch of people found out that if you put your Famicom on a hot plate and heat it up, it raises the chances of this happening during your speed run. And so somebody was able to shave like 20 seconds off of the speed run time by putting the Famicom on like a hot plate to heat it up.
Oh my God.
To get to a point where the glitch would trigger more often. And not just that, but apparently there was another speedrunner who was able to get a similar thing with putting it on an ice pack with cooling the console to the point where it was able to have this glitch happen. Which it just goes to show how goddamn insane speedrunning is.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you ever watch speedruns?
I do if I have the time, but it's a lot more difficult now than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm never a big fan of when people do this kind of thing. Like
it's amazing, but like kind of extreme.
There's a thing in the Dark Souls speedrunning community where like opening certain doors in Dark Souls, the open animation to open the door takes so long that it's actually faster to start opening the door, exit the game, and then reload your game than it is to watch the animation. I'm just like, oh, guys, I don't want to watch this. This is some funky shit right here.
Have you ever? I think IGN's the one who's done these. They've been showing developer speedrunners of their games. And,
I've seen those. I've never watched any of them.
The Doom Eternal one was a lot of fun because like they kept watching it and they're like, how kind of thing. And like at one point they find like one of the master rooms that just has all the weapons in it, kind of thing. And he looks at one of the other ones. He's like, I thought, like, how did they get in there? Like, I thought we got rid of that. It was just hysterical the entire time. They're just like, they're just confused the whole time. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of glitches and crazy stuff, apparently over 3 years after Nier Automata came out, there is a new secret has been found. So if you fight through, I think it's like the first boss of the game, and you have 2B stand between these two sets of barrels. And then while holding down R2, you press up, down, up, right, left, square, triangle, circle, cross in that order. You go to the final ending at the very end of the game. It just takes you all the way to the end of the game.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Apparently this was found by a modder who was like digging through the code. It wasn't just like, because at first I was like, how the fuck did anybody... What are you guys just going to places in the map and like holding down certain buttons and then just trying a bunch of different, you're just like, maybe down, down, left, up is the way. Nope. Down, down, left, up, left, down, up. No, is that not? Okay. Right, left, down, up, left, down. But apparently, yeah, this was a secret that had not yet been found, and the person posted it. And apparently, Yoko Taro, the creator, like responded to it, and basically just his tweet was like "Nier Automata spoilers," ... and then it just says 3 years, 10 months, and like a little face, like a little Yoko Taro face.
That's amazing.
So
I love modders for that reason, because modders are how a lot of weird little secrets get found.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a modder is how they found the Arkham City tease in Arkham Asylum.
Oh yeah,
because they were able to they got through the wall and they're like, "What is this that's back here?"
Right,
way after the fact, and it was it was amazing
because it was like there was like a wall that you had to like put 3 of the explosives on, but it was not a marked wall. It was just like a random thing somewhere.
Yeah, it was a wall in the warden's office, and you had to. It was a specific wall. You had to spray it multiple times. Like you couldn't just do it the one time and it would go. That's why most people never noticed it,
right?
Because they're not just running around spraying every possible wall kind of thing. So no one found it until way after the fact Arkham City was announced, and it would have blown a lot of people's minds if they found it prior to that.
Yep. It also would have been a real shame if the first one hadn't been a mega hit and they put a tease for the sequel and then they didn't get to make it. And it was like, no.
That would be pretty funny. Bet you somebody would have patched that out right away.
Yeah. Let's see. We also found there was some other kind of lost gaming news that came out this week. So apparently back in 2006, Core, the studio who made Tomb Raider originally, was working on a 10th anniversary PSP remake of the original Tomb Raider. And it never really saw the light of day. But apparently the code for it has surfaced, and it's semi-playable. So people have been kind of putting it up there and playing it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I bet a Tomb Raider reboot would have done really good on the PSP when thinking about that.
Oh, absolutely.
That time.
There was, I know there was a couple remakes on the PSP. One of them was a medieval one that came out eventually. So it would have definitely been, part of that, sort of idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And also, this is a really strange one. There was this game in 1998. There was a small team of Japanese developers, and they were working on a game called Magic Castle for the PS1. And they made some progress on it and started shopping it around, and nobody really bit. And then they just kind of went on to work on other stuff. But one of the original team members recently found the source code, decided to just kind of put it all together, and then released it in a fashion where you could just go download it off the internet and play it now. And it's this weird there's a video of it on this on Kotaku of this was the VHS tape of their demo reel that they showed to a few companies to try and get this thing made. But you can totally go play this now, and it looks like a PS1 game.
But it looks like a really interesting PS1 game.
Yeah,
that would have probably worked out pretty well back then.
Yeah,
and it's a shame that it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so but hey, you can play it now. Speaking of PlayStation, over the holidays, past the last time we recorded, the PlayStation 5 finally addressed that whole, like, are you playing the PS4 version of your game on the PlayStation 5? Because
oh my God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what they did was really kind of silly. Is basically just like this message that comes up when you try to launch the PS4 version of a game with the PS5. With a PS5 version that says like, hey, you're about to play the PS4 version of this game. Do you want to play the PlayStation 5 version? And you can say yes. I think they should do more. Michael, I don't know about you, but like, I really want the old store back. I don't like the PlayStation 5 store integration, the way that it's integrated into the bar. Like, it's hard to... I was just trying to find PS Pro games at one point, and it was like, I couldn't really find them very well.
No, yeah, that thing is a pain in the ass to use, at least in my opinion so far. Like, I was trying to find something, and I just couldn't figure out how to find it, kind of thing. One of them was the PS Pro game. I was like, how do I find this normally? So I had to go into that section and then go into subscriptions and then find it in there, because there wasn't... I couldn't find the exact... Like, I'm sure there's a button within there that for just PlayStation Plus in general, but there's just, I don't know, it's just a pain in the ass to find
the fact that
what's going on.
The fact that you have to go all the way to the bottom of the list of all that bullshit that they put up front just to get to like, show me the new PS5 games that are out. I don't like that. And I also don't really like the fact that you've got to like that your library, like what's on your system and the store has all been integrated into the same search bar. Like having the Xbox Series X, I really like it that the store and Game Pass and like my library are all discrete functions instead of this like, we're just going to mush them all together and make everything. Everything is everything. Searches for everything everywhere. And it's like,
Yeah, and I discovered that if you have certain games, it will play whatever music it would play if you're looking at the game by itself. Or you're looking at the store.
Oh,
which for Devil May Cry 5, it plays the battle music for Nero, and so it's fairly loud.
Okay.
And so if you're looking at Devil May Cry 5 in the store and you have it installed at the same time, it's just going to play that on a loop.
Nice.
It's just so weird.
Nice. Yeah. And then last up in like kind of, I don't know, gaming hardware, software news, Epic Games acquired Rad Game Tools. So
I
apparently,
assume that's a company, not just the name of their tools.
there's totally Rad Game Tools, bro. We got all the Rad Game Tools now, man. Fucking Fortnite. Rad as hell. No, yeah, that is the name of the business. Apparently, Rad Game Tools is a company that does a lot of different things. One of the things they do is a lot of optimization. Apparently, that was one of the ways that they were able to get Fortnite like kind of compressed down a little bit more. And they acquired them to basically go in and work on optimization for stuff inside of the new Unreal Engine to help keep the streamline load times, keep sizes down, things like that. So it's kind of a it's not exactly the most like glamorous. This is not sexy news. This is unsexy news.
It's very, very specific, but it's interesting at least.
Yeah. I mean, I could have gone with the like Fortnite, the Epic bought a mall
Jesus Christ.
to make their new HQ, their global HQ, like an old shopping mall. Yeah. So anyway, trailers. We got a bunch of trailers. We got this Hitman VR trailer. Michael, tell me your feelings about this Hitman VR trailer.
It's really kind of cool, actually, because it's this whole like go through this Hitman. It's like because a lot of it's the maps from the other two, right?
Yes.
Kind of thing. So it's just like, play those Hitman games and go wherever you want and murder in whatever ways you want. And I'm like, that sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me because, like, it, like, what is going on in this trailer is much more like, okay. So the thing is that I don't know that playing Hitman in VR in a very non-violent silent assassin suit only way would be very interesting because, you're just like setting things up to like have people die. It's not necessarily this whole like tapping a guy on the shoulder or punching a guy with your hand or like like shooting with a first person gun. It's very weird to me. It seems like an entirely different game. It reminds me of that. What was that UK crime game? That blood and blood and something game that we played.
I don't remember what it was called, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it doesn't make it look like a different type of game.
Yeah. Yeah, like whenever they do a trailer for VR, it always feels a lot more action-packed than what, like you think about
realistically, it's just going to be people like doing the dumbest possible shit in VR.
Yeah.
Like imaginable. Like, and I'm all for it, but if you can make something look really cool, that's all more power to you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I really need to make sure to remember to order that VR dongle for the PSVR for connect to the PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very strange. It's very action packed. It's very like kind of the opposite. Like, okay, normally when there's a Hitman trailer, it's always very like atmospheric. It's got the music going on, it's just like Agent 47, like there'll be a nice shot of him like walking away from somebody dying in slow motion or like throwing a fish at somebody. And this one is just very action packed. It's very non-Hitman to me. But
it's really just like selling like all the things you could do within it, which I think is a good selling point for the VR part of it.
There's this one section in here specifically where they show in Sapienza down in the biolab, and like 47's walking behind a guy and then just shoots this random guy in the back of the head. I know this mission, Michael. That guy's not a target. He's not doing anything. He's just walking, and the person playing this is just murdering him. And then there's this other part.
Well, that's why I meant like, just do the dumbest possible shit, because it's kind of showing what some people probably would do.
Yeah.
Just walk through a door, shoot a guy, and just nonchalantly walk away.
And then there's a part in Paris where he's getting ready to poison a guy who's like literally just staring right at a bartender, and I'm just like, no, don't do it. What it is that the way that this it looks like a very cool trailer this is just so not the way that I play Hitman that I'm like, what are you doing, Agent 47, you maniac? This is Plan Jeff, the trailer. This is VR Plan Jeff. And I'm like, no, 47, no.
I'm all for it.
We also got a quick 1 minute Stalker 2 trailer, and it's actually an in-engine trailer. Like it's showing the game in the actual engine, which is pretty cool because Stalker has a lot of kind of like weird world changing stuff that happens. It looks really good. I mean, I think it looks like basically as good as like this looks like a modern video game, right? Like it's not doing anything that's like off the charts. It's not completely and totally just like, oh my God. I guess in the past, some of the Stalker games have been a little rough around the edges. So I guess it's nice to see. It's a very short trailer too. It's nice to see just like a very good looking video game for the next Stalker. Did you ever play any of the Stalkers? They're hard as fuck.
No. Yeah, I never did, but I always wanted to because I like the premise of them.
Yeah. I think the last one was Call of Prepat or whatever. I don't know. It could have been one of the other ones. Let's see. From there, we also got, this was the update for this came a little while back, but we got snow in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we knew this was coming, but Microsoft Flight Simulator now has like real-time snow that is adaptive to the weather patterns the same way that currently Microsoft Flight Simulator has that thing like when there was that hurricane last year, people were going into Flight Simulator and they could totally like chase the hurricane in Flight Simulator because it was there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and now they have like real-time snow that you can totally see. Which is really cool. I mean, it's still just like Microsoft Flight Simulator, but hey, snow. I know, though, you may not be interested in that, Michael, but I know that you're interested in DNF Duel, or maybe you weren't until today, but I bet you are now. Are you interested?
Yeah, I didn't know this thing existed until the day, but I am interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's ArcSys making another fighting game, and God, boy howdy, do those guys know to make a fighting game.
Not only are they making another fighting game, but they're making a fighting game based on like a weird other it's kind of like an action brawler game. So Dungeon Fighter Online is a Nexon game, and you can get it in the United States, and apparently it's just like kind of a third-person action game, kind of meets MMO. And
I see ads for it all the time.
Oh, do you?
Know what it was? Yeah, because you know how like I Facebook and them will show you ads for stuff that thinks you might like. That thing has popped up multiple times. I thought it was a fake thing for a while.
Oh, okay.
Because it's such a generic name,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I was just like, this is probably some just like, because like they'll put ads for like just dumb shit all the time that like looks like something, like it looks like a normal game, but they took the assets from another game to make it look like it's something. Like I've seen like 4 or 5 Dragon Ball Fighters fucking
Rip-offs?
fighting games.
Yeah.
Like all they did was they took the assets from it and put it in an ad, and it's like, you want to play Dragon Ball? And it's like, no, stop it. You're not real. So this is one of those games I thought wasn't a real game because of that sort of thing.
So the reason I thought this was so interesting is because this is the same thing that happened with, remember Grand Blue Fantasy Versus that we played last year?
Oh, yeah.
That was the same thing where it was like a weird Japanese like online dungeon crawler type of game, and then Arc System Works came along and made a weird fighting game based on that.
God bless Arc Systems. They're just like, what's that? Let's make a fighting game out of it.
Yeah, apparently that's all they do is they're just like hanging out. They're like, what's popular with the kids right now? Make a fighting game out of it. Make a fucking fighting game out of it. It's weird because I have to imagine they're getting paid relatively well for this, but I kind of just wish that Arc System Works had they're so prolific. They're like a goddamn machine in the stuff that they put out.
100%. They're very well loved because of it.
Didn't they make River City Girls? That was them, right?
I think they made that, yeah.
Let's see. In 2020, they did that Code Shifter game that I didn't really like all that much.
Oh, yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, River City Girls, Dragon Ball Fighters. Yep, they've done a lot of games.
They've been making a lot of stuff. Although Dragon 4 is kind of just like 17, there.
16, 15. There has not been a year. Michael, Arc System Works has put out at the very least, one video game, if not more, a year, every year consecutively since 2003.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
also,
11,
that Code
12.
Shifter thing, I really was hoping for more from that thing.
Yeah, me too. I really wanted that game to be better. But let's see. We also got a trailer for Know by Heart, which is a really weird... You watched the trailer for this, right, Michael?
I did, and I was like, this is the sort of sweet little thing, and then like towards the end some shit starts happening and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, well, did you read the article that was attached that I attached to it?
I read the description of the video. I didn't read the article.
Okay. Yeah, this is made by the people that made that Pathologic game. Do you know that game? Yeah, they made Pathologic and Pathologic 2, Ice Pick Studios. Actually, I don't know if they made Pathologic 2, but they made the original Pathologic, and it's like this very... Apparently, the whole thing is like there's a guy, and he's just kind of like cruising through life, and then his ex moves back to town, and then all this crazy shit starts happening. It's got this very kind of distinctive... You know what the art style reminds me of? That... remember that sweary game, The Good Life? It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, except also nobody has a face in this game. It's all kind of blocky. But
it's all this. It's very Russian too.
Yeah. I am expecting. Well, apparently, it's like the big thing with this game is that it's got multiple different like kind of paths, and apparently you can beat the game in like 5 hours. So it's really encouraging to go back and play through a bunch of different times.
That's nice.
Yep. We got a trailer for Space-Based Startopia, which is coming to the Xbox preview, which is basically like a star-based kind of like sim, like a city builder meets a kind of management simulator, but it's all with a bunch of like crazy-ass aliens and space stations and stuff. I think
that's neat.
I'm totally gonna play this. But I'm definitely going to play Everspace 2. Because that's coming out in early access on January 18th. And the first Everspace I liked quite a bit, but it was like a roguelike, and the second one is like an open universe narrative, like action space game. And that combination of words in that order. Well, yes, sir. I'll take plenty.
They've been working on it for a while too.
Mm-hmm. Apparently,
the more it comes out of it, it looks really good.
Yeah, apparently they had like a beta with some backer beta. Then they made changes based on that, and then it's coming into early access. And apparently it's going to have like the first 12 hours of like 25 hours.
Oh wow.
Or no, the initial release will have 25 hours of gameplay, but the full version is going to have quite a bit more. So, yeah, look out for that. Let's see. In other
hours is not something to scoff at either.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, I played that Pathless game because it was only 10 hours long, and like going through my gaming backlog, I'm like, oh god, a 10-hour game. I played Bug Snacks and it was like 8 hours, and I was like, oh thank god, just a regular sized video game for once in my life. Let's see. We also got news this week that Outriders is not going to be coming out this month. I know that nobody knows what Outriders is but me, but I was sad.
What it was again.
It's the people can fly third person kind of Destiny-ish game with the different crazy classes, and it's got like dialogue options. People can fly. I made Bulletstorm. I trust them to make a good game. I really wanted to play this. It was supposed to be coming out at I think it's like the end of this month or the beginning of next month.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's been moved all the way to April 1st. April Fools!
They're going to add Duke Nukem to it.
Oh, God, don't do it. Don't do it. But apparently there's going to be a demo available on February 25th to give people a taste of the game before it comes out. So
that's neat.
Mm-hmm. And we got some fun stuff. Apparently there's like this kind of Animal Crossing figure set that's getting put out by Bandai Skokugan, which is supposed to have, it's got like Isabella and Tom Nook and a bunch of the different people that are on the island. It's going to be about $50. Michael, it is already sold out. So,
oh my God, really?
Yeah, but you can sign up to get notified if they decide to make more. But it's a little set of 7 different Animal Crossing figures, which it's too bad this wasn't out before Christmas. I feel like this would be the perfect Christmas gift for like half the people I know. But yeah. Also, the perfect Christmas gift for me is this fucking person who did like, this is a cosplayer by the name of Edel XL, EDL who did, Michael, when I first saw this, I couldn't believe that this wasn't just like a screenshot of concept art. This is a person cosplaying Lady Maria from Bloodborne. This is like a picture of a human.
Oh, wow.
And like, man, she just went all out. Like, cosplay just keeps getting like more and more off the wall, and like the result of this is fucking amazing. Like, it just looks like the game. Like, it looks like Bloodborne. No, it looks better than Bloodborne. It looks like one of those like $500 statues that they sell of Bloodborne. But the idea that this is just like an actual person is.
Yeah, I think only one of those images I would have believed was an actual person, which is this third one because of her hair.
Because the hair.
Like, that hair's too good to be animated kind of thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, fuck. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
Those cosplayers, man. Oh, my God.
I'll tell you what else, though, is amazing. The last thing on our list. Did you see this MK11 hook mod that they added? Or that was
I did not.
Came out?
I was going to, but I didn't get a chance.
So apparently this mod will allow you to play Mortal Kombat in first person, which just sounds incredibly like nauseating.
It's kind of neat, though.
Yeah,
like it'd be difficult to know how to do your moves correctly, I think.
Yeah. There's a point at the beginning where they show, apparently this just allows you to kind of do some camera moves where they show like a camera, like a behind the back camera, but they're using Spawn. And so the cape is just like completely in the way of seeing what the fuck is going on. At the end, they have another kind of angle for a third person mod where it's a little bit kind of a top down, almost a little bit angled up behind them. And that one actually seems like it could actually be usable, but yeah.
I would love to fuck around with this thing.
Well, yeah, just get a gaming PC, Michael. Just get a gaming PC and then put Mortal Kombat on it and play it. You know, just
never
spend your money. Join the PC master race.
I've spent too much of my money already. I've spent way too much of my money already.
Yeah,
I need to start saving.
It's not a bad. It's never a bad idea. And hey, look at that. We got some time for some questions. Let's do some questions. So let's see. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. My Freaking email client is locked up. Okay, there we go. All right, and we got this question. This question came in, and then this person sent it in again, and so I figured we would read it. This is a big, long question, and I feel like it's a pretty good one. So Chris writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and Michael, quick question for you guys about Cyberpunk 2077 and the general state of video games and future. I've watched about 6 reviews of Cyberpunk 2077, and the big topic issue/complaint is the amount of bugs, some being minor like character models popping and glitching, others being more severe like controls/audio not working, or game glitches that cause the quest or game to not work. Now, I get that glitches and bugs are inevitable to some degree for most open world games, but it appears this may be a far too common thing. Why? Because video game developers are going to be too worried about pushing these new consoles to the absolute max with the size of the open world and adding super ultra hardcore 8K freaking ray tracing special graphics. In turn, we are going to see longer release times and or delays and more bugs because the size of these video games is getting too damn big. I'm not saying big games with awesome graphics are a thing game developers should strive for, but as a consumer, I would prefer a slightly less huge open world and less graphics if it meant better gameplay featuring story, less bugs, and more importantly, more fun. I fear a dangerous trend may occur. Like, I like good graphics, but they should not take top priority in some games. It means other aspects of the game may suffer. I don't know. I'm probably in the minority with my opinion. Just wanted you guys' thoughts and opinions. Hope it made sense with the mini rant. Thanks for all the hard work. And that's from Chris. And then he says, P.S. Have you read Jason's book, Killer Candy? Can you give us a 30-second description/review of it? I was going to give it to my 11-year-old nephew as a gift, but I fear there might be too much sex profanity in it because, well, it's Jason Murphy. Did you read Killer Candy?
No, I haven't, but I haven't had a chance to read it. It's on my phone, but I'm thinking of just buying the physical of it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty sweary. There's a little bit of sex, and it's a little spooky maybe for a younger reader. I don't know if 11 is... Okay, here's the thing. If you're talking about an 11-year-old that like watches horror movies, because I know those 11-year-olds, right? That just like completely desensitized. They don't give a shit.
Jason was one of those 11-year-olds.
Exactly. That, yes. If your 11-year-old is not, I don't know. Like honestly, Chris, I would buy it and read it yourself first because it's not like so long that it's going to take a million years. And I think you'd have a better handle on it. It's so hard. I don't know the 11-year-old. It depends on the 11-year-old. Like it's not William Burroughs, right? Like, but it's not exact. Well, I don't know.
If it's anything like the Black Goat Motorcycle Club, you do not give that to an 11-year-old.
It's a little like Black Goat Motorcycle Club. It's maybe
that thing was brutal.
It's maybe a little bit. It's not quite as gory as Black Goat Motorcycle Club, but it is. I
made the mistake of eating while reading that. Reading Black Goat Motorcycle Club.
What were you eating?
I was eating it. I think I was at a gym. So it was like 2 a.m. because I was bored and I was just driving. This was before I moved into Austin proper. I was just driving around and trying to find places to read this book. It was also the night I was offered cocaine at the hideout.
Nice.
And I was just like, no, I'm just gonna read this book.
No, thank you, kind cocaine peddler.
But yeah, it's if it's anything like his last book, it's probably really good, but it also probably is not something you should probably give an 11-year-old. Wait a couple of years and then it'll be fine.
If you said 13, I'd say yes. I think it really depends on the 11-year-old because I can also see it being pretty scary for an 11-year-old. Depending on the 11-year-old. As far as the rest of the question goes, I feel like my feelings about this particular topic have been very clear over the years.
He's preaching to the choir on this one.
Especially after Jason and I went back and played Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm just like, this world didn't need to be this fucking big, y'all. Like, no, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of density, not like size. I'd rather your game world be smaller, but like dense. So Hitman levels to me are perfect because they're some of them are a little bigger, but they're always full of stuff. Like when you go to a place, there's not just like a place that's just garbage. Every place has something going on in it, and it's useful, and it has a purpose. The same is true. I was talking about Deus Ex Mankind Divided, right? You think about all the apartments and like the different things that you can kind of sneak into over the course of that game, and there's like they all have some thing going on in them, as opposed to just being like, here's a random apartment. Yay, you can go in there. Huzzah. So
yeah, that's one of the issues with the way some game developers are thinking more and more, is that they're like, everything has to be open world. It's like, well, that's not really true anymore, or probably it wasn't true at all to begin with. Like, I remember when I'm going to bring this back to the Spider-Man games. So after Spider-Man 2, everyone wanted every Spider-Man game to be open world, no matter what. And then they made I know Beanox ended up making all those Spider-Man games. They're two of my favorite Spider-Man games, which is Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time, but they weren't open world. They're all like within a self-contained little area and a story, and people lost their goddamn minds.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it's not open world. This is bullshit. It's like, well, not everything needs to be an open world. Like, I would rather it be like, a thing that's focused more on its story than it is focused on like just having a giant world with nothing in it. Like, as much as I love Spider-Man PS4, there's still not really anything within the world to do outside of the crime stuff. And which is why I would rather have, like, because Arkham Asylum is a great example of what I think was perfect, which is every room is is really part of something, whether it's with like something that you find, like a trophy or maybe like a codex thing. And then Arkham City was so fucking big, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't fucking care kind of thing. Yeah, because there's just a lot of empty areas for no reason. And then
Arkham Knight was even bigger, and he had a car to drive around
with even less things to do.
Yeah,
and that's my issue with a lot of these games, because a lot more people were like, everything needs to be open world. It's like, it doesn't. Like, even if it is open world, it doesn't have to be the super huge area. Like in Red Dead 2 and LA Noire are great examples of beautiful areas, but jack shit to do in them.
I would have rather they spent a little bit more time in Red Dead 2 making the missions have more flavor than just like, okay, I guess it's time to hit the L2 button, lock on, and shoot guys until it's done. Yeah.
My other issue with Red Dead 2 was the lying of what mission you were going to go do for a little bit. Because you'd be like, oh, I'm going to go do this mission for the Reverend, and then Dutch would show up, and he's like, I got a plan, and just throw the Reverend to the side. So you end up just doing another Dutch mission. You're like, okay, fine, I guess.
There is no after all these years, Michael, there is no good reason that game doesn't have a fast travel system. Just like go to the map and hit a button and go to the fucking mission area.
It's got one fast travel that is the dumbest fast travel in existence.
Yep.
Which is that you have to go all the way to your camp. And then you fast travel, and then
one way
fast travel back.
One way
to your camp.
Yeah,
it's like,
this may come as a surprise, Michael, but do you know the only game that has a dumber fucking fast travel system than Red Dead Redemption 2?
Oh no, what is it?
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, Jesus. I forgot about that.
Because you have to put yourself in a box and literally like mail yourself to another section of the map, and the game doesn't ever fucking tell you that it's a thing. So when I played that game for like 70% of the game, I was like driving Jeeps or like or doing that thing where you'd like call the helicopter, make the helicopter go to the place, run to the helicopter, get on the helicopter, open up the map in the helicopter, tell the helicopter to go to the other place, open up the new mission, fucking watch the fucking title sequence with the goddamn credits, and then have the helicopter come down and get out of the helicopter, and it's like, oh my god, Kojima-san, what have you done? Like, no.
I completely forgot you could even do that.
Yeah.
That you could ship yourself to places. And when I discovered it, I was like, this changes everything.
Well, yeah, it made a big difference, but it was like, I really wish you would have fucking told me that video game.
That game doesn't tell you half the shit it can do.
Well, the original Metal Gear Solid didn't tell you that you could get in a box, get on that conveyor belt in the mailroom, and get yourself shipped to the different areas of outer heaven, right?
Yeah. Then the whole fucking, oh my god, like the bathroom thing, because you remember you find the tape of a guy shitting himself, and I was like, what is this for? Not realizing you can hide in the bathroom and play it when a guy gets near.
Yep.
So he's like, oh, I don't want to deal with that, just walks away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, Chris. I think that today will be the day that Michael and I put out that fucking monster hour-long Hades video. And I kept thinking about the thing that I said when we were playing that about how respectful Hades is of like your time, right? And I think that that's one of the things that you're describing here is that, Red Dead Redemption 2 is not fucking respectful of your time. Like, they're just like, well, just fucking set a waypoint and then go into cinematic camera mode and you'll automatically ride your horse to the other side of the map. And it's like, guys, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't fucking want to do that every time I need to get somewhere. And then invariably, it would be different, Michael, if the mission structure kept you close to where the next mission was going to be. If it was like a Skyrim dungeon where like when you finish the mission, it was like, oh, hey, look, I'm like 20 feet from the marker for the next mission and I could just go there and do it. But they put you on the fucking other side of the world, and then you got to go all the way back, and then you got to go to your camp, and you got to do thing, and then Dutch is pissy, and
the main issue was I'm just gonna keep shitting on Red Dead 2. Was the fact that with the reason it's not such an issue in Grand Theft Auto is that you're driving a car, which is super fast, whereas in Red Dead 2 you have a horse that can get tired, and you got to feed him, and you got to brush him, and you can do all this dumb fucking shit.
You can also call a cab in GTA 5 and just make it take you to the waypoint.
And you can skip. You can skip the ride.
Yep.
In fact, in part 1 of Red Dead, you can skip the coach ride. I don't know if it lets you. I don't even remember being able to do coach rides to begin with in part 2. I'm sure you could. I just don't remember trying it.
Yeah. Like, I really wish that Cyberpunk 2077 was like a quarter of the size that it is. Like, the map was a quarter of the size that it is. And you just squeeze that stuff together. And then, like, how cool would it be if you were able to take on a whole series of missions in a game like Cyberpunk in like one mega building, like Dread style, right? If there's like a building and there were like 18 different types of missions that were inside of that building. There are those buildings, right? You live in one of those in 2077. You started one of those. If there was like a whole ecosystem inside of that building, and so you're like dealing with the warring factions inside of a building, as opposed to just like drive here, drive over here, now do this mission, now drive over here. I don't know. I want density as opposed to spreading out, because the wide vistas are lovely, but Ghost of Tsushima has quick travel, right? And it's not.
Yes.
Ghost of Tsushima actually uses what we're talking about in a good way, because it uses the kind of, like, the world is so beautiful that like going between places doesn't feel as much like a chore. Like the whole.
Well, not only that, it's very dense. Like, even when you're on your way to somewhere, there's plenty of stuff going on around you.
Yeah.
That makes you like stop and like look at certain things, whether it's like the hot springs, somebody getting like jacked or kidnapped kind of thing. Just like little things that keep you invested on your way to somewhere.
Yeah. It also, I just feel like the game itself has a tone that is very just like slow and atmospheric. It's not just like, go, 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 go. It's very just like, fucking contemplate the world, man. Sit on this rock and make a haiku.
Yeah, the game's like really like loves to tell you, it's like, calm down.
Yeah.
Do a haiku.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's just like, okay, cool.
Look at all these cool looking leaves on this tree. This tree is really pretty, right? You're just like, that is a pretty tree, game.
Yeah, like even like some of your upgrades, it's just like, find this hot spring, relax for a little bit. It's like, yeah, I should relax.
I like the way that when you get to the hot spring, the video game, the gameplay choice you make is they're just like, what do you want to think about, bro? You're just like, my mom. And it's like, okay. And then you just, man, I really wonder what my mom is up to right now. Yeah, it's a warm bath. Yeah. I remember when I used to take a bath when I was a kid, my mom was there. And then you get more health and go fucking murder some people. And it's like, all right, cool.
Like, the game goes out of its way to be like, just slow down, dude. Just like, you don't have to murder everybody right this second.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to decide here. Let me take a look at some of these other questions. Vanished Knight wrote in, and I've had this one sitting here for since the beginning of December. Rodan says, "Hello, Jeff and Michael. Do you think fandoms are of any sort are the same? Is there a difference between fandom in sports franchises as opposed to fandom in media, whether it's movies or video game franchises? Hardcore sports fans will stick to their favorite team even though they have a bad season or never won a championship. Video game fans will stick to their favorite franchises even though bad games have come out recently." And that's from Vanish Knight. I think you can make a little bit of a parallel, but nothing is like... There's always going to be a counterexample that doesn't work. And then I don't do fandom anymore. I don't really do that.
Well, the hard thing is figuring out the separation of fandoms, because, like, of course you can say anime and television fans are the same because, you know, it's a lot of just like, oh, they have their favorite shows that they know are bad but they're really into.
Yeah.
Or they have their favorite show that has like a relationship in it that they can't stop talking about. Or they're like, oh, I can't wait till so and so gets together with so and so, kind of thing. Like, they're super similar in that case. A lot of sports fans are very similar to gamers in the fact that, yeah, they have their favorite specific team sometimes that they're just like, my team could kick your team's ass, even though, like, it's not really, doesn't really make all that much of a difference, really, because it's all the same game kind of thing. Like, when it comes to the consoles, where it's just like, the Xbox could totally beat PS4 or whatever kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they have their flags and that they root for, and then, yeah, they're very similar in that fact. I remember the day I really realized how similar it was I went to a gaming tournament that my local mall was doing, and the other half of the gaming tournament were all these giant sports bros because they were like really in the games, but because their mindset was the exact same way they were with their sports stuff, which is why they were so gung-ho. They're like, oh, we're going to beat you nerds kind of thing. And then, of course, they lost miserably because they were not, you know, fucking addicted to Smash Brothers like we were.
Sure.
But, you know, they were really good at their thing. Like, what if a sports game came up, like if it was like FIFA or a racing game came up, you know, they did pretty well. But we all really, really were into Halo. So that was our common ground of a fight that was like a back and forth.
You know, it's funny how I think I had some like team loyalty. I think I used to be... Well, here's the problem, Michael. I kept bouncing around. Like, so in the early days, it was like Nintendo versus Sega, right? That was I got in on that. I had a Nintendo first because, like, honestly, when I was 10 years old and then Nintendo came out in what was like 87 or 86 or whatever, like, Nintendo was what you bought. Like, I didn't know that many people who were just like, I want the Sega Master System, right? So, like, had a Nintendo. Super Nintendo came out. I didn't even fucking know about what the Genesis did and what Nintendo don't, because I was just like, well, I had a Nintendo. I want the Super one now. I want the Super Nintendo. I have the regular Nintendo. I want the Super fucking Nintendo. And it has Mario World. And, like, that's a strong outing. That's why maybe to this day I don't understand Sonic, because I'm like, why would you ever play Sonic when Mario exists in this world? Like, I was a Super Nintendo guy. I still have my Super Nintendo. It's behind me. Yeah. Kind of thing. And, yeah, whenever they re-release Sonic, I'm like, who likes this? Like, this is stupid. Like, it's nonsense. Like, every time I play, like, Sonic 1, like, I can still get past the level, but I'm like, it's pure nonsense. Like, I still don't really know where I'm going when I play a Sonic the Hedgehog game. It's a lot of bouncing and shit that by the time I'm done, I'm like, I don't know how I got here. Yeah, I don't know how I finished this level. This is fucking weird. Whereas with Mario, I'm like, I know the process of where I'm going, and I'm having fun with it because I know what I'm doing. Sonic is I'm just sort of flailing. Yeah. So, but see, as far back as that, it's like I had the Super Nintendo for a couple of years, and then eventually for Christmas I got a Sega Genesis, right? So I had both. It wasn't just like, you know, I can play Mario on this one, and I can play fucking Altered Beast and Shadowrun on this one, and like... This one has the good blood in Mortal Kombat, and the Super Nintendo has 6 buttons so you can play Street Fighter on it. And it's just like, it was always like this and this. And then I went to PC, and I just stuck with PC for a long time because the PC games looked better than the fucking Nintendo 64. And then the PlayStation came out, and, you know, it was like, that was great. And then the Xbox came out. And, like, honestly, Michael, the original Xbox blew. It was shit.
No, it was not.
It was
not a good system.
No, I mean, like, and I don't know gonna say like not from a hardware perspective, but like look at the fucking game library of a PlayStation 2, and then look at what was on the original Xbox, and then tell me there's any universe. It's like I will say that the GameCube is shit the same way because it's like, yeah, there were some good GameCube games, but like in that era, you wanted a fucking PlayStation 2. Like that was where every game was. Like every game.
Some of the best games on the GameCube and Xbox were on the PS2.
Right. You know, your RE4s and stuff like that. So
Joe, like all that stuff. Like PlayStation 2 was the fucking man. Like if you told me like what were the games for the Xbox that, you know, that kept it alive, I'm like Halo 2. It's like what else? That's it, really.
Fusion Frenzy.
Whereas if you pointed at like what kept the PS2 alive, it's like, well, do you have like 3 days? Because I'm going to talk about this for like a week.
Yeah, every single franchise that is still going on today. From
like
like
the 360 had a better library than the Xbox did.
So that was where I finally lost the last vestiges of any kind of allegiance to any sort of company or any sort of gaming platform, was because I loved the PS2. I played a shitload of good PS2 games. I loved it. It was Metal Gear was on there. Fucking God of War was on there. I was just listening to the Bonfireside Chat. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was on there. Like there was a shitload of great PS2 games out there. And then the PlayStation 3 came out, and they were like, "No, seriously, dude, it's totally worth $600, and I fucking begged and borrowed and stole and scrounged up the $600 and bought a PlayStation 3, and it was fucking garbage for like 3 years because there was nothing on it. It was shit. There was no good launch titles, and it was garbage. And then I was like, well, should have bought a 360. And like I did that thing in my head where I was like, maybe episode 1 was a really good movie, and I'm just in a bad mood today. And I finally had to just say to myself, like, no, dude, like, you should have bought a 360. It has BioShock. It has fucking Rainbow Six Vegas. It has, you know, like the Orange Box, like the games you wanted to play. Gears
first came out on that.
Yeah, like the games I wanted to play were on there. And then by the time the PS3 started getting their act together, there was a cheaper version. So basically, I just spent like a whole shitload of money on a Blu-ray player. And then I never bought that many Blu-rays. I didn't even have an HD TV when I bought a PlayStation 3.
That used to be the selling point of a PS3 when it first came out. It was the cheapest Blu-ray out at that time.
Yeah.
Blu-rays were like $1,000 for a Blu-ray player at the time.
Yeah. And so, you know, then we came to the Xbox One and the PS4, and honestly, it was just like, well, the PS4 has the Bloodborne, you know, I want to play that. And the Xbox One fucking took its sweet time until Game Pass getting their shit together. So I don't think it's good to be like an unequivocal, like, quote unquote fan. And I know that somebody may come in and just be like, well, Jeff, you're a fan of like Hitman, right? You're a fan of the Hitman franchise. It's like, well, I am now because IO has put together a bunch of really good games, but I'm not I'm not stupid. Like if they were like, okay, instead of Hitman 3, we're going to make Hitman Absolution 2. And I'd be like, no, don't do that. That sounds like a bad idea. Or like, I didn't like Sekiro as much, even though it was from the Souls manufacturer. Like I just got done shit talking Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't think Metal Gear Solid 5 is as good as the other Metal Gear games, right? Like,
no, it could have been, but it's not.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as just unequivocal, unending fandom. Like the whole idea, that's why I don't understand sports fans as much, Michael, because the whole idea of just like, well, our team has sucked for 20 years, but they're our team, so we're going to root for them. I'm just like, dude, fuck that. Root for a team that's good instead of just being like, the fucking coach is shit, the players are shit, and I'm going every weekend. I'm going to be let down every fucking weekend. And it's like, why? Watch a good team. I don't know.
It's that hometown pride of theirs.
Yeah. So, like, if they ever made a good Sonic game, I would be the first person to say, like, this is a good Sonic game. But all they make are shit Sonic games, and so I don't like them. That last part was just to rile up you Sonic fans that are still listening. So,
the fact is, it's true though.
I don't get it.
I've only liked a handful of Sonic games, and for the most part, they weren't really like normal Sonic games.
I was really psyched to try that BioWare RPG on the DS.
Sonic Colors.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't with these fucking mutants. They're just stupid. I hate them so much. All right. Well, I tell you what, let's do one quick Patreon question and then wrap it up because it's way past Michael and I's bedtime. I hate everyone, so shut up says, Jeff and Michael, you rage lords of the universe. Is there a meme that you miss? I was thinking about how beautiful the Rickroll was. It was simple, but effective. It's funny.
Rickroll is very much around. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
It's funny, Michael, because
I saw one literally 2 days ago.
I was talking to you when you and I recorded this week about how I was drunk and I watched the video for Pork and Beans by Weezer and how that was just had all those old memes in it, and how like they just must be like gobbledygook to the babies these days, to the children who have no idea who Afro Ninja or Leave Britney Alone or Chocolate Rain are.
There's so many memes that are out there that have been lost to time.
I tell you what, the one that I really liked, and I still like to this day, is All Your Bass.
Oh yeah, I do miss that one probably the most because it not died out, but it's not as used as it used to be.
Well, yeah, there was like a few other memes over the course of human history that did the thing where like, what was really cool about it was like, that they had all those pictures of like products where they photoshopped All Your Bass instead of like Frosted Flakes. It said All Your Bass, or and like it was a really catchy song and it was really fun. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I don't know about memes that I miss specifically, but I always do enjoy when an old meme appears. And they use that Star Wars meme where it's just like, it's an old meme, sir, but it checks out.
Oh. I remember there was a thing. You remember how like Flash, like OG Flash on Newgrounds, they were super into Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah. They very, very well were really into Colin Mockery.
They just like use him for anything. Well, so there was this project that they did a long time ago that's called the Fingertips Project. That was, so at the end of one of They Might Be Giants albums, they have a series of like 12 songs that are all like 4 or 5 seconds long called Fingertips. And they did this thing on Newgrounds where a bunch of different popular Newgrounds animators each took a separate song and then they strung it all together into this big animation that was the whole Fingertips meme. So I like that. But All Your Bass is my answer.
I just realized the meme I do miss the most, which was the Exhibit one, because people don't remember this, but at the time Exhibit had a show called Pimp My Ride, where he would hear that somebody liked something and would put it into something. It was into their car. And so there was this meme for years and years of just like Limp Bizkit being like, "Hey dog, I heard you like this, and then so I put this into this," kind of thing. And it was one of the funniest goddamn things I'd ever seen at the time.
Yeah, it would say, it was like, "Yo dog, I heard you liked this, and so I put it in this so you can think while you think." But then they reached maximum apex, Michael, because they had where it was the "Yo dog, I heard you liked yo-yos, so we could put a yo-yo in your yo-yo so you can yo-yo." No, it's this one. It's "Yo dog, I heard yo and yo dog like yo-yos, so we put yo dog in a yo-yo, so yo dog while yo dog yo-yos dog."
I love them so much. Like, because they're just these fun, like, and the picture they had of Exhibit with that shit-eating grin was just that much funnier.
Yeah, I also like...
that one's a really simple one. I heard you like cars, so we put a car in your car so you can drive where you drive.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did, like, constantly. I remember there was an episode, speaking of the PS2, where they're like, "Oh, I heard he really likes the PS2, so we put in a TV with speakers so they can play the PS2 in the back of their car." Shit like that. It was like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah, I really like.
The worst part was a lot of those cars he made were so custom. Most people couldn't keep them because they couldn't fix them. Something went wrong with them.
Yeah, wasn't there? It was like an episode of the Boondocks where they pimp out Grandpa's ride, and then it's like he has to sell it at the end or something because he can't afford the repairs.
Exactly.
I think the other one, I was just thinking that the whole dog thing made me think of the OU. Remember that with the guy and the dog, where it's like a little 4-panel. Yeah. So,
Hyken has Cheeseburger as one of the oldest as well, and the Tron guy was a fun one.
Yeah,
a bit. There was a lot of interesting ones. Dio memes are all over the place. I still laugh at them even now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all the time we have. It's way past everybody's bedtime, except for you that's listening. It's hopefully before your bedtime. You got to get more sleep. Mail at rageselect.com is the email. Just send in questions to, or you can come to Patreon at patreon.com/rageselect and ask questions on our podcast questions channel in the Patreon server. You can also check out Michael over at oneofus.net. First podcast of 2021 is done, Michael. We only have 51 more to go, and then infinity after that. So,
yo, dog, I heard you like podcasts.
Oh no, here we